Here's the video review for the ThreeZero DLX Bumblebee from Rise of the Beasts. It is non-transforming. It does parts form a little bit to show off some of his different combat expertise, combat modes in the film, but doesn't turn into a vehicle, which is fine. It's also smaller than I was expecting it to be. I was worried it was going to be because I do have the very large Bumblebee they did for the Bumblebee movie in my computer room, who stands like up here somewhere, much taller than this one. And this is actually a really perfect scale. You get all the fantastic detail that you get in the larger figures, but in a smaller form factor that fits in more places. And just as a size comparison, there he is with the mainline deluxe Bumblebee, just to give you an idea of Studio Series Bumblebee. From Rise of the Beast, just to give you an idea of where he scales into that. He's about 8 inches tall, 8.5. I haven't actually pulled it out. Tape measure, although I did have a tape measure out earlier for the other thing I'm reviewing tonight, but just forgot to do it. He does have, like, the wings here are on hinges. They can hinge back, so you can kind of angle them back. When he's up, you can fold them down. You can fold them, I guess you can't really fold them. No, I guess you can't like that. We can fold them down. They do split as well, so if you want to have them in kind of an X configuration on his back, you can do that. For as long as I wished they could break apart, I've gotten so used to him having the full doors on his back that I just kind of leave him like that, but it's entirely up to you. But he's got a full range of motion, ball joint at the base of the head and at the base of the neck. You can see the pistons moving there. You do want to be careful. Like, these are on little ball joints just to keep pieces from colliding. Like when you, the arms especially have this little piece right here that you want to rotate out of the way before you bend his elbow up. Because if you try to bend it up like this, it's going to hit. It flexes enough that it doesn't look like it's going to break, but I mean, if you're not careful, there's a dual hinge here, and you could end up pushing that up against that gear, and you don't want to do that. But so just make sure to rotate that out of the way just a little bit. Ball joints at the wrist. This whole torso, you can see, can move side to side. He's got a crunch, very deep crunch, exposing his spine back here. Waist swivel there. Hips, again, these panels can move out of the way and are on little hinges, so you can get them up when you want to twist things and pose things. The pistons working in the knee there as you bring the knee around. This little panel can flip up. His toe can flip up. He's got ankle tilt side to side. The wheel's on a little pivot. So you've got a pretty decent range of motion all over, as you would expect from a lot of the ThreeZero things. His little antenna can go up and down. And it's a nice little Bumblebee. He takes 8 total LR44 batteries, 2 of which go into each thing, one of which is his head here. And you can turn on his eyes. They light up blue very nicely. Just a nice little blue. You can also pop his head off. Actually, okay, I popped his head apart. That's how the batteries come out. But there is a neck piece. The neck piece you want to stay on. The neck piece is not interchange. It will often come out with the head. Make sure that piece goes back in to the body before you swap the other head out. Then you can bring in his other helmeted head, and again, just side by side. There's his regular head and his helmeted armored attack head, which just plugs right in to the top of the neck piece. And then both of his arms can be exchanged for these cannons. And you just slide that off. There is a little ring piece here. Just be careful that doesn't fall off. If it does, just slide it back on over the hinge there. And then plug each of these onto the end of his arm. Make sure that this is cut in a way that it only goes on in one direction, so make sure that that is lined up properly. It also helps if you don't do it with his arms pointing straight down, and then you can get these attached without losing that piece, so just be aware of that. There we go. And once he's armored up, like I said, it takes 8 batteries, 2 in each thing. 2 go in his head, in this head, and now his eyes light up blue. And then when he's ready to attack, his eyes can light up red. And if you push the end of each barrel, this inner tiny barrel here, push that in, and each of the cannons lights up with a really nice reddish orange I'm about to fire glow. And if you want him to be friendly Bumblebee when he attacks, you can have his blue eyes on as well. So yeah, there is all that. And again, a lot of times when you pull the head off, the neck comes with it. Just be careful with the antenna, and then just pop the neck off, swap the head back on, and then pop that whole piece back into place. You can give him his guns with his regular head as well, obviously, because it's all just pop on, pop off parts. Come on, there we go. Get his arms back on. There we go. He does come with interchangeable hands. He's got his fist that comes packaged with. He's got an open hand for each side and a kind of mid-relaxed hand for each side. And those, like just like the arms, there's a ball joint. Pop the new hand on. That's a little bit weird. It really, the way the flat hand goes on underneath that guard, it doesn't leave a whole lot of room to wiggle really. Well, I guess that's for when he's like diving and he's just got his arms spread in the air. And then the more relaxed hand, which has a little bit more clearance to move, a little bit more wiggle room than the flat hand. I think I prefer the fists overall, but it's nice that you've got options. Go ahead and put those back on. And yeah, it's a really nice little, not little, but it's not huge either, but it's a nice representation of Bumblebee. This little piece has been coming off. I don't know if it came unglued or what. It's not broken. You can see the slot right there. It just slides on right here. I may have to tack that on in place, but unless you're really pushing on it, it doesn't pop off. And again, you can split the wings. And like all other figures that they've put out recently in this line, he does come with an action stand. And I do wish they would scale this down in the model maker for these smaller figures, just because if you want him to be in an action pose, like where he's jumping and leaping, you can pop this back plate off here on the back of his waist, right there, and plug him into the stand. And it'll support him. It supports his weight. It can lift up. It can latch up. It can even extend, lock it. It can even extend up here. So you can raise him up quite a bit. Now he's off camera, but you see what I'm saying? If you want to have him in an action pose, leaning forward a little bit, even leaning forward a little bit more than that, it will support him. He's not one of the heavier figures. So you can get him in, like, maybe if you want to have him in his whole diving down from the jet pose, or maybe he's going for like a rocket punch or a jump or a leaping punch. You can do that, and that's cool. Sometimes, if I don't have the space for it, it would be nice to display him on the stand, just secured to it, so I know he won't fall over. Granted, he's got big, solid feet. I do not worry about this just falling over on its own. As it is, it's not super huge, so I'm not worried about it being super topply. But it would be nice to have him just on the display with the movie name, the logo, flat, which you can do if you don't attach this piece, because once it clips in, you really got to work to. I've actually made it a little easier to clip these things out, but it would just be nice if I had the ability to latch him on here, just standing in more of a neutral pose, maybe pose with his arms or whatever on the base with the name of the thing as a display piece, kind of like you can do with some of the action stages and the Kamen Rider figures. It's a minor quibble because the fact that it is larger lets you get him way up in the air for some really cool action poses if you're putting together like a real dynamic shelf. So it's a trade-off one way or the other. All in all, like I said, it's a really solid Bumblebee. It's a nice, high detail and posable Bumblebee from Transformers Rise of the Beasts. And again, thanks to ThreeZero for sending it along for me to check out, because I'm gonna find a place for him next to my other Bumblebee in the computer room. So yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.